right, thank you very much. And it looks like we've got quite a few connected in here for today's session. I'm Terry Hinton with Ironside, and today's topic is embedded analytics with Amazon QuickSight. I'm joined today by two speakers. Eduardo Arazo will be our lead speaker, and then we have a special guest today. We have Bashi Mehta from AWS. Who will also be talking about embedded analytics. Just before we jump into today's topic, I want to make you aware that this is the third in a series. We did a prior session on Amazon QuickSight with an ROI analysis. A lot of customers appreciate the economic value breakthroughs with Amazon QuickSight, and we provided a session on helping customers how to calculate that ROI in a very detailed way. And then we also have a recent Take30, and again, these are available to watch on demand around implementing enterprise-safe generative AI. A lot of interest in the market today on generative AI, and another good session to watch. So one quick note before we jump in here is you will see on your Zoom dashboard a Q&A button. You can ask a question at any time during the session. And depending on the space left at the end of the session, we'll get to as many questions as we can. And one quick comment before we jump in here. Ironside's been in business for 25 years, helping customers with their business intelligence projects, along with a number of other data initiatives. We've worked with almost every tool on the market, and we're really excited about Amazon QuickSight, all the value it brings from many different aspects. And one of the things we hear a lot of customer questions about is how do I use Amazon QuickSight for embedded analytics? And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Eduardo, and we'll take questions at the end. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you for that intro again. I'm Eduardo Razzo, one of the engagement managers here at Ironside. So let's jump in here with a quick level set. So even what is embedding, right? We're going to talk about that by the different types of embedding that are available. So we're going to start here with one click. That is going to be the simplest and easiest way to get any kind of dashboard from QuickSight embedded into a number of different other tools or outlets, if you will. So you just get a very simple embed code after you've built your dashboard, and then you can use that for, again, passing through those visuals or that dashboard elsewhere. On a more techie level, we go into the API-based embedding. So this is where we can leverage the AWS JavaScript SDK, make API calls, and then pass the dashboard off that way. So it's going to be a more kind of technical approach, more back-end approach for passing through those visuals, those reports, those dashboards. The other benefit for either one of these is you can actually have anonymous or registered users. We're going to get a little bit more into that with the use cases that we're going to cover here towards the end of the presentation today. And then one other thing to know here is that the actual embedding can have different granularities. So you can, say, for example, you have a large dashboard with many visuals. You don't need to pass through the entire dashboard. You can pick a specific chart that has maybe a specific KPI or a specific graph. You can embed just that. You can embed an entire page or the entire dashboard. So you have a lot of flexibility with either one of those approaches for embedding for whatever your needs are. And then lastly, and this is also very exciting, AWS QuickSight has what they call their natural language querying search bar, or Q. And this is basically the ability to be able to type in any questions to the visual or the dashboard, and it brings up the answer. So that's, I think, a big game changer and a very, very big value add for the opportunities that we have here with this dashboard. I'm going to kick it off with Bashi. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. So how does it work? And so with this, what you can do is you can import your data. And so it can come from a variety of different cloud environments, as well as an on-premise source. But from there, you can store it into a data store. So for an example, what we have here is through AWS. You can utilize S3, Redshift, or even any external sources such as Snowflake. But a huge area is being able to take advantage of Spice, which is our super fast parallel in-memory calculation service. And so what this does is provide that cache layer where you can provide that data and information to be easily visible then with your QuickSight dashboard. So once you've started going into QuickSight, building out all of your different visualizations that you have in your dashboards, or building out your natural language topics with QuickSight Q topics, here you can then go about embedding it into your application. So being able to have that experience and making that available for whether that's internal users or, as you can see on the slide, external users, where you're deciding and determining that access, whether that's going to be a multi-tenant structure or if you're going to be enabling different row level and column level security, which we can dive into a little bit more deeper later. And so with that, now that we've kind of gone through, you've gone through authoring your dashboard, there's two different routes that as Eduardo shared, which is that you can go about the one-click route, or you can take advantage of the APIs, which allows for a bit more customization. And so this slide highlights being able to take advantage of our SDK 2.0 library within QuickSight. And so it's a JavaScript library. It allows developers to integrate different analytic functionality in order to make it a bit easier to embed into your application. And so starting off, one of the added customizations that you can do is be able to set a print button, undo, redo, reset, and so forth, and be able to also switch that locality within your application. So if you can see it in the screen, which I realize that the font might be a little small, but at the top you can see there's undo, redo buttons and with our top upper left corner visual. And then if you look at the one next to it, we're able to change the locality based off of what region your customers might be based off of. From there, we've also added even further. So we've increased productivity. So being able to develop faster with TypeScript support, as well as being able to dynamically communicate with the embedded iframe. So for an example, we have like info or warning or error events. And so what we can do is set up customized load screens when you're going about waiting for your dashboard to load, and be able to also include different external hooks. So being able to do those undos or redos and print options and parameters externally from your dashboard. So there's ones that exist within your dashboard, but you can even link it with ones externally. So don't even need to utilize the different customizations that are available within QuickSight. You can also utilize and take advantage of state persistence and bookmarking. And so what this does is allow you to quickly switch between the different relevant views that you have and be able to reinstate those filters. I think I missed a section of covering. So being able to handle better error handling. Here, last year, I think we noticed wanting to develop a lot more and make it a very developer-focused environment. And so what we've done is being able to include static type checking, enhanced runtime validation, as well as being able to optimize different event chaining. You can also enable runtime filtering and theming. So even in addition to being able to hook externally to those print as well as those undo redos, we've now made it possible where you can enable a night mode. And so you can set it based off of a trigger, or even being able to click on a specific button and have it switch between different views and themes based off of what you want your viewers to be able to see. You can even do it, for an example, if you have different types of customers who are viewing that dashboard. So if you want to give them a specific theme that's related to their own company colors, so as we see here on the slides, we're using a lot of like blue and yellow. And so being able to match it according to your own company based off those views to make it a little bit easier being able to see along those lines, and being able to even set up those different runtime filters as well externally. So not having to utilize parameters, but instead being able to have those filters load based off of different data that you've decided to select within your own application. What we've done is also include, we've even enhanced that workflow. So by being able to take advantage of the deep integration with callback actions. So what this does is you're able to build custom workflows. And with this, it's building out on this business logic. So your users can be able to take instant action from the application. So for an example, if I as a user am looking at a pie chart, and when I click on a specific value on there, there's 3 different actions that can occur, whether, for an example, we want to track that user's interactivity with that visual. So for example, we're able to document, all right, Bashi has looked at this visual, and this is recording her activity there, being able to click on it. You can also do other things where, for example, being able to capture and send an email about that data point. And so, for example, being able to share like, oh, this is what has occurred, and being able to send a specific email along those lines. So if we had a bar chart and just wanting to select on a certain value and that makes different changes, we're able to send out an email based off of it. We can also update a store, like an order status update. So kind of an easy example to think of is annotation. So wanting to be able to include live annotations off of your data. So looking at a table, we can see, all right, this is the data that's being relevantly showed to us. But if I see, oh, that order status actually looks wrong, that's not actually the right count or the total number of products that are needed, what I can do is include a column that includes notes and be able to write directly into it. So being able to click on it, have a text box open up, and then type in information, and from there be able to submit it and have that callback send that data directly back into your data source. So whether you're using, for example, like S3 or Redshift or something along those lines, and be able to have a refresh schedule for that to be immediately sent back and viewable within your dashboard. And so different ways you can just really play around with our workflows and customize your experience within QuickSight. From here, we're going to dive into our next section, which is why we embed. And so looking at the benefits within QuickSight, we're going to quickly go into why embedding exists within Amazon QuickSight. And so there's quite a few reasonings for this. And so we can start off with the first one, and that's highlighting the core of what QuickSight itself is. It's a cloud-native serverless application. So what that means is that you can scale your application to hundreds of thousands. And so this helps with reducing those ongoing expenditures, as well as software updates. Instead, all you have to worry about is just being able to build out those visualizations, and that scaling mechanism, needing to know how many servers and so on and so forth, are not a concern anymore of needing to know. From there, QuickSight has a tight integration when it comes to our machine learning capabilities. There's been huge announcements within even last year, but some of starting with our core features that we have ML Insights. So what this does is allow us to write out these auto narratives to explain in plain simple English of what's happening within your dashboard. You're also able to utilize the forecasting capabilities. So for example, in a line chart, be able to see over the next year or so many periods forward, we can see what is occurring within our data and what we can see coming up in the future. From there, we're also able to do anomaly detections, and those are within our ML built applications. We can also take advantage of QuickSight Q. So being able to embed QuickSight Q into your application, what this allows us to do is be able to ask natural questions. So I can say, why are student enrollment low this week? If I'm looking at it from a university perspective and looking at my dashboard, and what it does is it will show me what could be the top contributing factors of what could be causing it. And so for an example, whether that's a specific class where a certain teacher just grades really hard with that class, and so it makes it and that's a reason why there's been a huge drop in enrollment within that class. And so different things you can take advantage of when it comes to our machine learning capabilities. We also can take advantage of Spice, which is our caching mechanism, so making it very easy to be able to view all those different calculations that we have available. We can set up our multi-tenant structure. So diving a bit deeper into this, we have a lot of fine-grained access controls that he make possible. So whether that is being able to take advantage of row level and column level security when it comes to our user-based embedding, or even being able to take advantage of our tag-based row level security with anonymous embedding. And so being able to determine how you're providing that access, if you're even doing that console embedding, maybe you want to set up a full-on multi-tenant structure where you're siloing and isolating each of your customers who are accessing and being able to build their own visualizations within QuickSight. We can also make different edits of theming, so there's a lot of customizations, as we already highlighted before with the different APIs as well as the SDKs that we have. And then from furthermore, we can even take advantage of, instead of utilizing all those customizations, you can also take the easy route of utilizing one-click embedding, where you're grabbing the iframe and just including it into your application and making it really easy to just write within one click, be able to view your dashboards. And then lastly, our pay-as-usage, which you are already familiar with within AWS if you've utilized our services before, but it's a cost-effective model that allows you to pay for what you use and be able to do according to what your analytic needs are. And so with that, I know that was a lot of benefits. So Ricardo's now going to touch on how organizations can adopt these benefits into their business.
Yeah, thank you for that, Bashi. So let's go and dive into some use cases. Excuse me. So I'm going to start over here on the left-hand side with our Premium Analytics Access use case. This is where you can offer advanced analytics as a feature as a part of like a premium subscription or membership. We see this a lot, right? So you're developing those analytics and then charging individuals for those insights, specifically for users who require, or clients who require deeper insights, more extensive data manipulation capabilities. So we can see this being very useful if you have like a federated internal BI organization, or externally, if you deal with like franchising or a similar business model, you can build BI assets and then allow users to consume them. Monetization here again can happen with the pay as you go type of model that AWS has for any of those features within your own platform if you want to embed it there. Moving on to number 2 here is consulting or expert services. So we see this as the potential for using the actual embedded analytics usage data, kind of like the metadata of your users, to identify trends, patterns, or areas for improvement for your clients or your customers. So you can offer the kind of level of consulting and say, this is what's actually happening within these analytics, within these dashboards, people are viewing them. So we kind of call this more operations research. It really is a way to provide insights for your company or strategies where you can optimize a client's operations, marketing, or decision-making process. Number 3 here is data monetization assets. So this is going to be more of a data play, but this is kind of taking more spin towards an entire industry or whole market sector perspective. So we know that some outfits are already doing something very similar, and it's a very compelling business model where you aggregate and anonymize data sets or analytics, and then you can basically resell that. So this allows access to a lot of users. You can sell that access right to third parties, such as researchers, marketers, or other businesses interested in getting more insights on an entire market sector, for example. Number 4, is going to be customized reporting or dashboarding. So you can do your own development of the BI assets, and then with the flexibility of embedding that we just talked about, you can essentially display your dashboards within any part of an existing technology stack or as a standalone offering. This is more of a dashboard as a service, traditionally what we call that, or analytics as a service. It's a relatively straightforward but very powerful use case, as it can help fill a lot of gaps that currently aren't covered by a client or customer within their own tool set. Again, monetization here can be as a fee for the development or the personalization services that you offer by customizing the dashboard. So white label solutions, if anyone's familiar with white label, that's basically where you can strip the AWS or QuickSight branding and include your own, as Bashi was mentioning. And so this can be leveraged and add all the branding for a specific client that you have and pass just the actual data visuals into native apps or tools that may already be existing. So you can basically create whatever shell that you want from a branding, color, format perspective, and then just have QuickSight be your data visualization engine that's powering everything underneath it. Again, this can be public facing or can also be internal. And the big benefit of kind of approaching a use case with this is also that you can have registered or anonymous users. So you can even have kind of a white label solution and put it on a website, for example, that sees a lot of traffic. That's also a possibility with the different login or viewing options that QuickSight offers. Number 6, one that I'm very passionate about, training and education. So if you have like corporate instructors or teachers, they can also leverage the embedded analytics. You can offer a sandlot or a training environment, for example, and pass through any kind of the visuals there with any kind of the different strategies that we have for embedding. You can also create training data sets or BI assets to teach individuals how to effectively use data analytics tools like QuickSight itself, right? Or you can actually fine-tune the appropriate decision-making based off of like a training data set as if it were a live organizational setting for your users. So it's more kind of a training capability that you can approach this with, either the tool itself or data about your company, so that individuals get familiar with how to actually perform their jobs. This can also be any kind of monetization that you do for things like creating courses or subscriptions, one-time purchases for like an actual training set, or even as a freemium model if you have anything like that within your own organization. Moving on to number 7 is more technical. This is going to be the APIs and integrations. You can create or expand on the existing APIs that allow other platforms and applications to integrate with your analytics solutions as you've created in QuickSight. This can be a combination of any of the above use cases or any of the above examples that we've already covered today, but there's a very wide array of choices that we have here to develop those APIs and create very, very useful tools. And the last one here is really taking advantage of the very, very wide array of features that we have in QuickSight. So for instance, if you offer a specific mature software product, you can add embedded analytics and provide users with deeper insights. You can also use usage patterns like we talked about previously, so we can actually monitor your clients or your customers and help support the further adoption of specific apps or tools. And then lastly, I think, again, this is the big game changer for QuickSight, is that you can embed QuickSight's natural language processing search bar functionality. And so, for example, if you have a dashboard that has an aggregate of year-to-date sales, you can use a search bar and say, how much did I sell last month? And even if that specific KPI is not already pre-developed into the dashboard, it's actually going to pull that information and tell you what that number is. So I think that's a very, very useful and powerful use case for the specific search bar functionality that we have within QuickSight. We'll start to wrap up here with some takeaways, right? So a couple things to consider is, what is the right embedding strategy that you're going to use for your specific use case or your specific company? There are, like we said, a lot of different abilities here for using the one-click, the APIs, modifying the APIs, but there's definitely a lot of opportunity there for how you're going to create this. Specifically about the API, right? Leveraging that JavaScript SDK toolkit is very, very powerful, very flexible. So it allows you to do many different things, including the writebacks. So you have a very mature, full suite functionality that you can have through that approach. Maximizing productivity with the use cases that we talked about, or even monetizing things, right? That's very important there. But we also have seen many, many different ways that we can actually use all of these different tools and features for that productivity standpoint. And then lastly, remember all the mature feature sets that are included with QuickSight, such as the server functionality. You don't have to have infrastructure individuals. You don't have to have DevOps, right? AWS basically scales everything for you and monitors that for you. You can't have the security of like a multi-tenancy approach. So you can have one fundamental or one basic asset and then basically distribute that to different sets of individuals, different departments, different clients, if you will, by still maintaining one kind of centralized asset within it. And lastly, the machine learning capabilities that are both found inside Q and inside the actual monitoring of the tool are also very, very useful to reducing some of the level of effort of creating these, a lot of times, very heavy use solutions. So with that, we will start opening it up for questions in the last about 5 minutes here of our Take 30.
Okay, thank you, Eduardo and Bashi. Good information. Type your questions in. I have a couple we'll start with here. One of the questions relates to watching our Take30 series in order. And certainly for the winter series, any order should resonate. They're not presentations that build on one another, and that's the case for most of our Take30 series. They're completely self-contained in terms of the information they provide. So watch those in any order you wish. A second question that came in, and I see, Bashi, you've answered this online, but I would like to share this with the rest of the team. The question was, with respect to pay for usage, what strategies or cost models are available to mitigate the risk of having our clients overuse and driving our costs too high?
And then I can answer that out loud if you'd like. Yeah, so
Yeah.
our QuickSight, we support cost allocation tags. So what you can do is you can tag your users when you utilize the register API. And what this does is you can tag based off of specific users or even teams, departments, or even the application, and be able to see that fine-grained detailing. We also have that support when it even comes to a multi-tenant structure. So you can do it even within your individual namespaces, which is what we call as multi-tenant within QuickSight. And then I've provided a link to the documentation. I don't know if it shows it on the main chat or not when I answered the question, but if you're looking for it, I'm sure you can also Google cost allocation tags QuickSight and you'll be able to find it.
Okay, thank you very much, Bashi, for that answer. Let's see, another question. I think I'll send this to Eduardo. How do you determine when embedded analytics makes sense for your organization?
Yeah, so I think it really depends on the overall outcome that you're trying to achieve organizationally. We see a lot of our clients who are asking us or engaging with us for migrations, just because QuickSight does have a significant run rate savings than some other tools out there. And so, if anyone is interested in migrations or anything like that, right, that's one of the cost saving approaches that we see. There's also ways to actually improve productivity or optimize some of your operations. That's another big situation that we see. And then lastly, it's going to be also to be able to kind of monetize certain things. So if you have created anything that you think has a lot of value, or it's an asset that you could potentially see someone else using, monetization is going to be key, right? So depending on the total outcome or goal that you've set organizationally, there's different ways to approach it. So there's not just a single kind of one-track perspective for that.
Out of time here, so just in wrapping, number one, I want to make an offer that if you want more information on embedded analytics, feel free to reach out to the email address on the screen, getinsights@ironsidegroup.com, or you can click request a meeting on our homepage. But if you want to have an opportunity to bring your questions to a QuickSight expert, we can schedule an hour for that. And then also just kind of widening out a little bit, whether your questions are embedded analytics, a lot of the questions we get from customers relate to migration. So with our experience in legacy tools, how do I move my reports from old tools to QuickSight? So ask any question you want around QuickSight. We'd love to take a meeting and talk you through any of those issues. And I also would want to point you to our next Take30 session on February 22nd. It's data readiness for generative AI. And I would just also add, this is very relevant for the BI world as well. If you're familiar with AWS's announcement late last year for generative BI, this is built on the Amazon Bedrock generative AI system. So there's some very relevant information from a data readiness that would apply in either of those spaces. So with that, we're at the end of time. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to having you on the next Take30.